For years, NASA has been leading the way in space exploration, constantly uncovering the secrets of our universe. But recently, they found something new that's causing quite a stir among religious groups everywhere. What if this new information challenges what we think we know about the universe and our place in it? What if this discovery is so big that it makes us question the beliefs we've held for so long?
This is an image of something called M87. M stands for Messier. And Messier was an astronomer who was very interested in finding comets.
This new finding from NASA has sparked a lot of discussion and curiosity. Is it a major scientific breakthrough, a misunderstanding, or something that will change how we see life and the universe forever? Today, I will dive into this surprising discovery and talk about what it might mean for both science and religion. Let's dive in. 1. The Hubble Space Telescope displays heaven. What if I told you the Hubble Space Telescope has been our cosmic eye since its launch aboard the Space Shuttle Discovery on April 24, 1990? Its breathtaking images have totally reshaped our view of the universe. But on what felt like a twist, shortly after it started its journey, NASA spotted a big oopsie in its primary mirror. Yep, blurry photos right off the bat. Despite the hiccup, Hubble kept sending back snapshots of our neighboring planets and galaxies far, far away, making astronomers rethink everything they thought they knew about space. Then, in December 1993, space mechanics on a mission swooped in to save the day. They kitted out Hubble with some new gadgets and tweaks that fixed the fuzzy mirror issue. And just like that, the images got a whole lot sharper. With its new superpowers, Hubble lets us peek into corners of the universe we'd never seen before, lighting up the cosmos with revelations. Now get this, there was a video out there claiming NASA caught a glimpse of heaven with Hubble in 1994, right after those repairs. The voiceover, supposedly from a guy whose uncle worked at NASA, talked about seeing celestial buildings and stuff. Sounds like a blockbuster movie plot, right? But hold your horses. These claims were as shaky as a house of cards. NASA find heaven? That's an old tale with no real proof backing it up. While our journey into the universe's mysteries continues to surprise us, some stories are just starry-eyed myths. 2. A celestial object resembling the hand of God. In the fascinating world of space where science meets the mystical, this cosmic hand emerged from the dramatic death of a star, which exploded and threw out a massive cloud of material. Captured by NASA's NuSTAR telescope in high-energy X-rays, this hand is not just any space stuff. It's formed by the remnants of a supernova. While NuSTAR caught the high-energy scene, the Chandra X-ray Observatory had previously picked up the lower energy parts. Imagine a pulsar, which is basically the dense core left over from the explosion, spinning wildly 7 times per second. This pulsar, known as PSRB 15958, was throwing out a wind of particles that whipped up an X-ray glow, sculpting them into what looks strikingly like a hand in space. But is it really a hand? Or is it just an optical illusion? Scientists were scratching their heads, wondering if the hand-like shape was a trick of nature or something more structured. NuSTAR's views suggested it was more fist-like, offering a fresh perspective on this celestial phenomenon. Adding a touch of color to this already dramatic scene is a red cloud at the fingertips, known as RCW89. This cloud is believed to get heated by the pulsar's winds, which makes it glow in soft X-ray light. The energies we're talking about range from 7 to 25 keV in NuSTAR's observation and from 0.5 to 2 keV in Chandra's. This so-called hand of God is a perfect example of pareidolia, where we see familiar shapes like hands in totally random places. Despite looking like something out of a religious painting, this hand is all natural, a stellar spectacle in the vast universe. 3. Curiosity rover finds new clues to Mars's watery past. Mars, that seemingly barren red planet, might once have been as hospitable as Earth. Ancient studies suggest Mars had a much thicker atmosphere back in the day, cozy enough to keep liquid water flowing. This goes beyond a guess. Take a look at the southern highlands, near the Huygens crater and north of the Hellas Basin. Those places are crisscrossed with valleys that scream, "Water was here." These valleys date back about 3.5 to 4 billion years and have these branching patterns like Earth's river systems, such as the Yarlung-Tsangpo River. The layout of the land tells us that water zipped from north to south, carving out valleys as wide as 2 kilometers and as deep as 200 meters. Over eons, these valleys have worn down, showing a past sculpted by flowing water, maybe from rain or rivers, and perhaps helped along by other sources like groundwater or melting glaciers. Now, why is this watery history a big deal? It hints that Mars could have once been a cozy spot for life, a burning question driving today's missions. The upcoming ExoMars mission by the ESA and Roscosmos is super exciting. They're sending a rover to dig down and hunt for signs of life, all while the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter studies the Martian atmosphere from above. These steps are part of ESA's grand plan for exploring Mars, which might even include bringing Martian samples back to Earth. 4. NASA scientists make first observation of a polar cyclone on Uranus. NASA scientists uncovered a polar cyclone on Uranus. It's not every day you hear about the weather on other planets, right? They figured this out by analyzing the radio waves coming from the planet, marking the first ever sighting of such a storm at its North Pole. This cool discovery added to our understanding that pretty much all major planetary atmospheres in our solar system have these polar vortices swirling around. Now let's rewind a bit. Remember when NASA's Voyager 2 gave us a peek at Uranus's South Pole with its own twirling features? Fast forward to recent times, and the Very Large Array in New Mexico shed some new light. Their observations from 2015, 2021, and 2022 showed that the North Pole was throwing us a curveball. It was warmer and drier, all thanks to a beefy cyclone spinning away. Alex Atkins from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory dropped a truth bomb about Uranus. Despite its chill, blue look, there was a lot going on under the surface. Thanks to its current sweet spot in its 84-year-long orbit, we were getting a glimpse of its poles for the first time in decades. And here's a shocker. This cyclone? It had a warm, dry core and just stayed put at the pole, unlike Earth's hurricanes, which like to wander over oceans. Drawing parallels with Saturn's cyclones seen by NASA's Cassini, this could be a game-changer in understanding these high-speed spinning giants. Who knew what secrets Uranus would reveal next? 5. What NASA discovered in the Sun. Researchers cracked the code on mysterious heartbeat-like signals coming from the Sun during solar flares. It's like uncovering the Sun's very own Morse code, and it could revolutionize our understanding of those wild solar storms. When the Sun gets all dramatic and throws a solar flare, it hurls not any old radiation, but a whole cocktail. Radio waves, microwaves, ultraviolet, you name it, right into space. This show is part of what's called coronal mass ejections, CMEs. But sometimes these flares send out what's known as quasi-periodic pulsations, QPPs, which basically look like an electrocardiogram, ECG, on a graph. Figuring out these pulsing signals is key to understanding how the Sun manages to release and scatter energy during these intense explosions. And for the longest time, scientists were totally stumped about where these pulses came from. But on December 12, 2022, a breakthrough came through in Nature Communications. Researchers got their hands on a heartbeat signal from a medium C-class flare on July 13, 2017, and found not one, but two. The main one thumped every 10 to 20 seconds from the base of the current sheet. That's where all the action happens when magnetic field lines snap. The secondary, softer pulse beating every 30 to 60 seconds, echoed across the entire sheet, a new twist to the plot. Both signals likely stem from magnetic islands popping up in the current sheet. The team dived back into old data to see if other mysterious signals also came from these magnetic islands. And hey, maybe one day, understanding these cosmic heartbeats could keep us safe from solar surprises. 6. Messier 16. How about diving into the heart of M16, also known as the Eagle Nebula? Right in the center, we've got the spectacularly named Pillars of Creation. Captured in an incredible Hubble image, these towering columns of cosmic dust and gas are far more than eye candy. They're a buzzing nursery of new stars. These pillars weren't standing idly by, they were part of a bustling star-forming region. Wrapped in their delicate wisps, they cradled newborn stars, hidden from view. And guess what? This wasn't Hubble's first rodeo with these iconic space sculptures, but it was the clearest snapshot we got so far. The colors in this masterpiece, they told a story too. Oxygen showed up in brilliant blues, sulfur in rich reds, and a mix of nitrogen and hydrogen in vibrant greens. A cluster of young stars off-camera bathed the pillars in intense ultraviolet light, while stellar winds slowly but surely sculpted these giant dust towers. Spanning about 4 to 5 light years, the Pillars of Creation might have seemed modest compared to the entire Eagle Nebula's massive 70 by 55 light years. Discovered way back in 1745 by Swiss astronomer Jean-Philippe Loise de Chezeaux, it was nestled some 7,000 light-years away in the constellation Serpens. Peering at it through a small telescope reveals its glory, especially in July. Want a closer look at the pillars themselves? You'll need a big telescope and the right conditions. 7. Messier 87. The elliptical galaxy M87 is a cosmic powerhouse with not just a couple of stars, but several trillion of them. And that's not all. It's the proud owner of a supermassive black hole and a whopping 15,000 globular star clusters. Now, to put that in perspective, our own Milky Way looks a bit modest beside it, housing only a few 100 billion stars and about 150 globular clusters. M87 is like the big boss of the Virgo cluster, a massive family of around 2,000 galaxies. First spotted by Charles Messier in 1781, this celestial behemoth lies 54 million light-years away in the constellation Virgo. With an apparent magnitude of 9.6, grab a small telescope in May for the best view of this distant marvel. Ever seen a galaxy's glamour shot? The Hubble telescope's snapshot of M87 in both visible and infrared light is something to behold. The image's showstopper is a striking blue jet near its center, a dynamic stream of material powered by the galaxy's own black hole. As the galaxy's core feeds the black hole, the immense energy churned out catapults a stream of subatomic particles at nearly the speed of light. Positioned at the Virgo cluster's heart, M87 has likely beefed up its collection of globular clusters by pulling them in from the less fortunate nearby dwarf galaxies, which now seem a bit empty-handed. 8. Gale crater was capable of supporting life 3.5 billion years ago. Cruising around Mars in NASA's Curiosity rover, led by project scientist Ashwin Vasavada, the mission was about unraveling Gale crater's mysteries. The big question? Could Mars have been a cozy spot for life billions of years ago? About 3.5 billion years ago, when the rocks Curiosity was checking out were just forming, Mars was likely rocking a much thicker atmosphere and plenty of liquid water, prime conditions for life. While Curiosity wasn't on the hunt for actual Martians, it was digging deep to see if the red planet had the right mix for life to thrive. Think liquid water, carbon, and other essential chemical goodies. Plus, it was on the lookout for energy sources that ancient microbes might have munched on. And guess what? In its first year alone, Curiosity hit pay dirt at Yellowknife Bay, uncovering an ancient lake bed. This spot was the perfect kind of wet, neither too acidic nor too salty. Even better, it found all the key elements: carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, and potential energy sources that could have supported microbial life. So ancient Mars might have been the ultimate hangout spot for tiny life forms. Curiosity's findings are like a sneak peek into a past where Mars might have been bustling with life. 9. NASA discovered a planet even better for life than Earth. Using NASA's Kepler Space Telescope, astronomers stumbled upon Kepler 186f, the first Earth-sized planet nestled right in the habitable zone of its star. What's the big deal? Well, this zone was right for liquid water to exist, which is crucial for life as we know it. Until then, the planets we had found in this cozy stellar neighborhood were all at least 40% bigger than our home planet. But Kepler 186f was different. It was almost a twin to Earth in size, which made it a game-changer in our search for Earth-like worlds. Paul Hertz from NASA's Astrophysics Division was already looking ahead. He was excited about upcoming missions like the Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite and the James Webb Space Telescope, which would hunt for rocky exoplanets and peek into their atmospheres. Although we didn't yet know the mass and composition of Kepler 186f, odds were it had a rocky surface. Elisa Quintana, who led the study, was buzzing about the implications of finding planets that mirrored Earth's size and features. Kepler 186f sat about 500 light-years away in the constellation Cygnus, orbiting a star half the size and mass of our Sun, known as an M-dwarf, the most common type of star in our galaxy. This planet took a leisurely 130-day stroll around its star, soaking up a third of the energy that Earth gets from the Sun. That placed it on the habitable zone's outer edge, unlike its 4 neighboring planets that were too hot for life as we understood it. The journey didn't stop there. Future missions would zero in on finding true Earth twins and diving deep into their chemical makeup. Kepler's first mission had already opened our eyes to the possibility of Earth-sized planets around Sun-like stars, and with teams like Ames, Ball Aerospace, and the Space Telescope Science Institute on board, who knew what we would discover next? 10. Scientists find new surprises about Titan's lakes. Saturn's largest moon, Titan, is a world almost like Earth, complete with its own bodies of liquid right on the surface. Back in 2007, NASA's Cassini spacecraft clued us into this wild fact. But here's the twist. Titan has lakes and seas of liquid methane and ethane instead of water because it's so darn cold out there. Now, you'd think these lakes would be a simple mix of methane and ethane, right? But no, Titan likes to keep things interesting. The Northern Hemisphere, which is dotted with deep lakes nestled on hills and mesas, mostly features lakes filled almost entirely with methane, a sharp contrast to the mixed methane-ethane seas found elsewhere. But why the difference, especially compared to the Southern Hemisphere's Ontario Lacus? It's a mystery that has scientists scratching their heads, trying to piece together Titan's hydrological story. The eastern part of the Northern Hemisphere is swimming in larger seas, while the western side boasts these small lakes perched atop mesas, some plunging over 300 feet deep. These lakes could have formed from the chemical dissolution and collapse of the surrounding ice and organic bedrock, kind of like Earth's karst lakes but with a Titan twist, using entirely different materials. It's like seeing Earth's geological processes play out in a totally alien environment. And here's another cool part. Cassini spotted some transient lakes that seem to have seasonal changes in liquid levels. Think of them as sometimes there, sometimes not, likely due to evaporation or seeping into the subsurface. This finding hints at a complete methane-ethane cycle on Titan, mirroring Earth's water cycle, but with a chilly twist where water exists as rock-hard ice. What if there's even microscopic life in those methane, ethane lakes, adapted to Titan's freezing, harsh conditions, just as life on Earth thrives in water? It's a mind-boggling idea, still speculative, but absolutely fascinating. 11. The cosmic collision that crafted Pluto's heart. Back in 2015, NASA's New Horizons mission spotted a heart-shaped feature that had scientists buzzing ever since. It was a massive, geologically fascinating structure called Sputnik Planitia, part of Pluto's iconic heart known as Tombor Regio. Researchers from the University of Bern and the University of Arizona have been digging into how this romantic shape came to be. They ran simulations and thought that a cosmic smackdown shaped Pluto's heart, a celestial body about 400 miles across slamming into Pluto early in its history. Bam! Sputnik Planitia was born. Their findings, published in Nature Astronomy, even challenged the old idea that Pluto might hide an ocean beneath its frosty exterior. This area was literally cool, filled mostly with nitrogen ice and reflecting loads of sunlight, making it appear brighter than its surroundings. The heart's western lobe spanned about 750 by 1,250 miles and sat roughly 2.5 miles lower than the rest of Pluto, which likely helped it fill up with nitrogen ice quickly after the impact. The shape and placement of Sputnik Planitia hint that the impact was no head-on collision, but a glancing blow. 12. Black hole that eerily resembles the Death Star from Star Wars. Scientists unveiled a new type of black hole, and it's eerily reminiscent of the Death Star. These cosmic powerhouses, detailed in the Astrophysical Journal, don't just sit around. They spin and swivel their jets, beaming energy across space and targeting various celestial bodies. It's like they're cosmic laser turrets. Francesco Ubertozzi and his team, using tools like NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory and the Very Long Baseline Array, have found that these supermassive black holes can twist their beams by up to 90 degrees. About a third of these beams started pointing in completely new directions. This shift happened over about 1 million years, which sounds long, but is just a blink in their 10 billion-year lifespan. That's as if a battleship turned on a dime in minutes. 13. Scientists solve the mystery behind the Oumuamua alien spacecraft comet. Oumuamua, the first interstellar traveler to swing by our solar system. Ever since it zipped into our cosmic neighborhood in 2017, it's been baffling astronomers left and right. Discovered by the keen eyes at the University of Hawaii's Pan-STARRS 1 telescope, this enigmatic object initially masqueraded as an asteroid. But after a fiery whip around the sun, it started behaving more like a comet, picking up speed and earning a speedy reclassification. Oumuamua isn't your run-of-the-mill space rock. It's long and skinny, a cosmic cigar stretching anywhere from 100 to 1,000 meters in length, and it sports a mysterious, dark red hue. That's not something you see every day, right? Despite the brainy efforts of Earth's finest, every theory about its origins has hit a dead end. Enter the James Webb Space Telescope, our new eye in the sky, sparking fresh hopes that we might finally untangle the riddle of Oumuamua and perhaps even the deepest secrets of the universe. 14. NASA selects 2 missions to study lost habitable world of Venus. In 2021, NASA picked 2 thrilling missions under the Discovery program, both set to unlock the mysteries of Venus's transformation into an inferno-like world. Yes, despite starting off with Earth-like vibes and possibly being habitable in the distant past. Chosen from 4 potential concepts in NASA's 2019 Discovery competition, these missions stood out for their scientific prowess and doability. Each mission is set to get about $500 million to get up and running, with launches planned between 2028 and 2030. Let's dive into Da Vinci Plus first. It's all about taking a closer look at Venus's atmosphere to figure out how it all came to be. Was there once an ocean? This mission will drop a descent sphere that will snag detailed measurements of the atmospheric makeup and snap the first high-resolution pictures of Venus's tesserae, areas that might show us proof of plate tectonics, shedding light on how rocky planets like ours form. Then there's Veritas, which aims to map out Venus's surface to piece together its geologic story and current activity. Armed with synthetic aperture radar, Veritas will whip up 3D topographic maps and scope out different rock types using infrared emissions. It's also on the lookout to see if any volcanic activity is puffing water vapor into the atmosphere. Both missions go beyond gathering data. They're also testing new tech. Veritas will carry the Deep Space Atomic Clock 2, perfecting spacecraft maneuvers, while Da Vinci Plus will tote along the compact ultraviolet to visible imaging spectrometer to probe the mysterious ultraviolet absorber in Venus's atmosphere. 15. Dark storm on Neptune reverses direction, possibly shedding a fragment. Imagine a storm so massive it could sprawl across the entire Atlantic Ocean. That's exactly what the Hubble Space Telescope stumbled upon in 2018 while peering at Neptune. Initially, this gigantic storm was cruising southward, but then, in a twist that left scientists scratching their heads, it whipped around and started heading north in August 2020. This flip in direction? Totally unprecedented, especially since Hubble has been watching these types of storms swirl around for over 30 years. Then, in January, things got even more interesting. Hubble spotted a smaller dark spot hovering near the big one, possibly a chunk that had broken off. This little sibling might be a key piece of the puzzle in understanding how these storms fall apart, a process we haven't really seen before, but that simulations hinted could happen. The main storm, spanning a whopping 4,600 miles, is actually the fourth such dark spot Hubble has caught on Neptune since 1993. Back in 1989, Voyager 2 had spotted a couple of others, but they vanished before Hubble could get a good look. These storms are typically short-lived, sticking around for about 2 years. They form as high-pressure systems and usually travel towards the equator, where they slowly fade away. So everyone, that's a wrap. Hope you found this video intriguing. NASA's latest discovery has certainly stirred up quite a reaction, especially among religious communities. It's amazing how new findings can challenge our understanding and beliefs. What do you think about this discovery? And which part of the news surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating updates. Until next time.